right. It's loading here. I'm just going to give it a refresh, make sure I see us. All right. Okay, I think we are live. Wonderful. Okay, I see us. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to day 4 of the Boys Town Pediatrics Newborn Week. My name is Gabby. I've been your host for the week, and we have gone live every day with a pediatrician and community expert on a different topic as it pertains to you and your newborn. Today, we are live with Dr. Annie Zimmer, and we're going to be discussing ways to keep your baby comfortable, safe, and germ-free. So thinking along the lines of bathing, sterilizing, and much more. So we'll be talking about all of those things. And if you're watching live and you want to participate in a giveaway, we're going to be giving away a baby bath bundle. Very fitting for this live stream. And you can enter to win by liking this video and leaving a comment below. You can say hi, let us know what you've enjoyed this week, ask any questions along the way. And of course, if you are watching live and maybe you're early in your pregnancy or you don't want to leave a public comment, that's totally fine. You can DM our page during the stream and then we'll count your name into the giveaway as well. I want to mention too, before we start our discussion, that we do have our in-person newborn care workshop coming up this Saturday, and it's going to start at 9 a.m. If you've signed up, you should have all the details in your email, and I do have the sign up link above this video. There's still time to sign up, and it's in the comments section as well. Dr. Zimmer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so as a pediatrician, you know parents want their baby to be cozy and clean, but not overwhelmed with products or routines. What are some basic principles for keeping a baby comfortable and healthy at home?
Well, I think, especially a new baby, I think new babies just want a 4th trimester. So trying to pretend like we're back inside mom where it's warm and cozy and there's soft background noise and shushing or swaying movements and shushing noises. That really soothes the baby and keeps them comfortable. Absolutely, like if you have nieces and nephews that come over and are loud, that's okay too. But if the baby's upset, that's probably what they're looking for, is something that feels more like where they've been. And then just, babies, the other thing to think of with new babies is they're more vulnerable to serious illnesses. You don't have to do a lot of extra steps, but you just want to be a little more cautious about what exposures you're exposing this new baby to, just because the consequences of getting an illness might be a little bit higher for your new one versus an older child.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And when thinking about bathing, like I mentioned in the beginning, how often should new parents bathe their baby? Maybe per week? And then do you have any tips on making that experience a little bit more comfortable?
Yes. So babies can get overbathed just because parents enjoy doing it or they think of how they bathe, but a newborn doesn't have the sweat and stink like the rest of us adults do. So once or twice a week is really usually enough. And the things you just kind of have to keep an eye on are the folds of their skin, like under their neck, under their arms, or in the diaper area, making sure those areas are getting clean. And fast brief is best because sitting in a tub of water actually dries the skin out. So 5-10 minutes at most. And popular now is swaddle baths, where you use a thin blanket or towel and you keep it wet with the water, and that might keep the baby warmer while you're bathing them, just so they aren't upset by the coldness. And I always would close the bathroom door and run the bath water to kind of warm up that room a little bit more, turn my thermostat up a notch the night we were doing baths, just to make sure baby didn't get too cold.
Mm-hmm. Are there any bath products that you recommend to people watching?
You really just maybe like a simple tear-free, low scent soap shampoo would be enough. There's not a lot of need for abrasive soaps, and perfumes can be kind of hard on baby skin. So just a simple soap for a baby. And most of the time they just need water. And so rinsing everything away with warm water and maybe using soap in some stinkier areas, that kind of thing. I'm a big fan of those slanted baths just because they kind of hold baby and they lots of times they have a little bit of a grip to them. So they're so slippery when you're bathing them. So just having a more secure place so you have a little more freedom with your hands to bathe them.
Mm-hmm. And then post bath, do you recommend using lotion every time? Avoid unscented? What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think of those yummy smelling baby lotions as baby perfume and not what I would use to moisturize.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to put a little bit on their face or their head to make them smell nice, that's fine. But some of the things that come in, some of the chemicals used to make scents might be harmful and they can sometimes be a little bit irritating. So an unscented, thicker moisturizer right after getting out of the bath. So like blot them dry and start moisturizing is the ideal bath routine because the water actually evaporating off the skin pulls extra moisture out, and bathing washes away the oils of our skin that keep moisture in. So putting a new layer of a thicker moisturizer on can kind of keep moisture in the skin, especially this time of year. Babies start struggling with some dry skin. So I do like moisturizing after baths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then along the same lines of sensitive skin, what would you recommend for washing baby sheets in and clothes? Any specific detergents that you like?
Yeah, I think most parents like go by the tear-free, clear kind of detergents. And then like with time they just get over it. It's just like one more step, or it's easier to throw the baby's laundry in with somebody else in the house. And we really don't feel like you have to do a separate load or use a tier free, but sometimes it's nice to start that way. That first month after a baby's born, that skin's been used to being in liquid and now it's going to dry air. And there's some newborn rashes that kind of get crazy in that first month. So just eliminating extra factors that might be at play causing rashes. It's kind of nice to do those clear detergents, but ultimately you don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm. And what about fabric softeners or dryer sheets?
Along those same lines, they probably are fine, but probably not necessary either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So then thinking too about sterilization. So talk us through what needs to be sterilized and, can we do any of this before baby comes? Maybe as some prep, pacifiers, feeding tools, bottles.
Yeah. So nothing needs sterilized.
Right.
You just want to wash everything like you would your dishes. Make sure they're clean. Soap and warm water. And even after baby's born, that's all you're going to do to wash their things. Pacifiers, they probably get neglected for washing, and it might be good to wash a pacifier from time to time, but they don't need sterilized. Even things like thrush, that's a little fungal infection that can happen in babies' mouths. You don't have to sterilize after that. Just wash everything with soap and water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen at least.
Something like that.
Sorry, I muted you on accident. I meant to
Oh,
mute
that's okay.
myself. What was the last part you said?
Oh, I was just saying you don't need to go buy some fancy bottle sterilizer or anything like that.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys. I'm hearing a little bit of an echo, so I'm trying to bounce back and forth between muting myself and muting Dr. Zimmer. So if I mess up, I'm trying to be quick. Awesome. Okay, so the next question is, how should breast milk or formula be safely stored and prepared to avoid contamination?
Yeah. So breast milk, if you like, ideally you wash your hands and have clean equipment when you pump, and that milk could potentially sit out for 4 hours at room temperature. But if it sat out for 4 hours, it probably should just go straight into the freezer. Ideally, it goes into the fridge as soon as possible. And then if you don't use it within 4 days, it should go into the freezer. And then when you thaw breast milk, you should plan to use it within a day or two at most. Formula, you don't really want to make more formula than you're going to use in 24 hours, and it can be stored in the fridge until you use it. But whether you're doing refrigerated or thawed breast milk or cooled formula. Everything just needs to be brought to room temperature before baby gets it. It doesn't need to be warm as our bodies. It just needs to be room temperature. And we wouldn't want you to warm it in the microwave. The ideal way to warm milk for baby is in a warm, like put the bottle in a warm bowl of water and let it slowly come up to that temperature. Microwaves and other methods sometimes get hot spots in the milk that are too hot for baby and then cold spots. So you get more even temperature with the warm bottle or warm bowl technique. And then there are some ready to make formulas out there, or ready to feed formulas out there that are just ready to go. And once you open a big canister of that, you can keep it in the fridge, but you should use it within 2 days. And then a powder formula, you would just anytime, ideally you make it on need, and then you fill the bottle with water, and then you add the powder to the water so that you get the right ratio of water to powder on those.
Perfect. Dr. Zimmer, would you mind scooting just a little bit closer to the computer? We got a comment that you're a little quiet. So I think
Okay.
That's a little better. I can hear you. Okay.
Okay, good.
Thanks, guys, for commenting that so I can see it. Okay, we are about halfway through our questions. So if you're watching live and you have a comment, go ahead and leave it in here for our Q&A here at the end. Okay, so many parents are curious about probiotics. Do babies need them? And if so, when and how should they be introduced?
Really, there's not enough research out there to tell us that we think babies need them or we should be recommending them necessarily. A lot of formula companies have started adding them, and we don't think there's any harm in them. But there's just not enough research to say yes, this should be in every formula. So it's a little inconclusive right now. There's prebiotics, probiotics. They're just similar terms, but slightly different methods of trying to do the same thing. Really, I think of breast milk as like the ideal. But there's a little bit of research that some probiotics can be helpful for GI illnesses. There's maybe been a little bit of research that it might help reduce the risk of eczema. But I honestly don't recommend it for parents. I mean, if it's in the formula, fine, great, not hurting anything, but you don't have to go out of your way to add an extra step.
Yeah, and along the same lines, when I'm thinking supplements, can you talk a little bit, especially going into the fall and winter, vitamin D drops for baby and how those work?
Yeah, so vitamin D drops are recommended for babies that are breastfeeding. Vitamin D is something we get from sun exposure, but you probably have to live on the equator and walk around with your baby naked all day long to get enough vitamin D for your baby that way. So for all breastfeeding babies, it's recommended to do a vitamin D supplement. Formula has it in it, so you don't have to do it for those babies. And then most term healthy babies don't need any other kind of supplement. The exception to that would be a premature baby that spent some time in the NICU, and the NICU would give you instructions on what your baby needs in that scenario.
Perfect. And then how long do you do those vitamin D drops for? Is it to a certain age?
Mm-hmm. So it's recommended until the baby is transitioned to cow's milk. So usually after a year of age, or transitions to formula. So if a baby is mostly fed with formula, then you probably don't need those vitamin D drops anymore, or if they've moved on to cow's milk. But as long as you're breastfeeding or the majority of the baby's milk is breast milk, then we would recommend those drops.
So we are headed, well, it's already here really in November, cold and flu season. What advice do you have to help us keep baby safe during that season?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I always think avoid unnecessary exposure. So share your baby with people that matter to you, but they don't need to get passed around to everybody at church or something like that, just because there's extra risk with that. Make sure people wash their hands before they hold baby, ideally warm soap and water. And then if loved ones are sick, trying to keep space or don't visit during your illness. And then lastly, ideally, everybody that possibly can get vaccinated and all the vaccines get vaccines. So babies, especially the first 2 months, are too young for a lot of the vaccines that are protective. There is an RSV vaccine that we're recommending. Either mom get it or baby get it, especially during this cold and flu season. That first year for babies, they should get a vaccine or have had mom gotten it before she delivered. And then like flu vaccine for caretakers, and whooping cough vaccine for caretakers, just to reduce the exposure for baby.
Do you have advice on new parents and how to set boundaries when it comes to, welcoming baby into the family? So picture this, we're at Thanksgiving dinner and we know family's about to come over or we're about to go to a family's house. Can I have my partner help me with, okay, he needs to make an announcement that everyone needs to wash their hands and no kissing baby, even on the feet or the hands or the top of the head, nowhere. Like, how can we go about this? Because I know it can be stressful.
Maybe it's getting easier because people are getting better. COVID kind of helped people like start setting boundaries about what exposures they want to put their babies through. But I think that first month, the stakes are just higher for baby getting sick. So it's worth it. And it's not an excuse because it's worth it by itself, but it is a really stressful time. It's exhausting. So maybe if you need it to use illness as an extra reason to make sure you're taking time for your family to recover and recoup when possible. So, but I think at Thanksgiving dinner, that scenario, it's reasonable to say, everybody, please wash your hands before you hold the baby. And I don't think anybody's going to be offended because that's your job as a parent to protect your baby.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, just a couple more on our list and then we will jump into the Q&A. So thanks everyone. Make sure you're liking the video and leaving a comment to participate in the giveaway. Okay, so for parents and caregivers, we talked about hand washing and flu shots and things like that. Are there any other hygiene habits that make the biggest difference in keeping baby safe and germ-free?
Things I think of are good hand hygiene, keeping distance when you know you're sick, and trying to get everybody that's taking care of this baby vaccinated as soon as possible, including the baby. Those would be the biggest things. Good hygiene about washing dishes and bottles and all that stuff. But there's not extra things beyond those things that we can really do to avoid illnesses. So they are going to happen, but you just do as much as you can to protect the baby as long as you can.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any words of reassurance for parents or caregivers watching who might feel like they're not doing enough to keep their baby safe?
Yeah, I would say the fact that you care, you probably are doing enough. If you aren't sure, talk to your doctor. If your doctor is giving you reassurance and you're still feeling anxious, maybe, postpartum or prenatal time are anxious times. And sometimes it can be problematic for people, and that's okay. We just want to make sure you're getting help. So don't be shy talking to your doctor or your baby's doctor about how you're dealing with the baby, or how you're feeling about how you're dealing with your baby.
Yes. The fact that you are on here watching and preparing for baby, or if you've recently welcomed one, just proves that, you're doing a good job and you care a lot. So we appreciate all of you tuning in. Okay, so we will go ahead and go into the Q&A here. The first question is Dr. Teal's products okay to use in babies?
I don't know that product specifically, so I would just look at the ingredients. One ingredient, and it might take a little bit of fine-tooth comb, that we tend to avoid is phthalates. It's PHTHALATES. But kind of looking at the ingredients, those have potentially like a hormone component to it. So if it's a really scented thing, it's more likely to have that in it. But I think if it's marketed towards babies and in a grocery store, it's probably okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know there's like a million products that are on the market, so it can be overwhelming, I'm sure, trying to pick what we want to use. Okay, and kind of same lines, there was a question on more products. Vaseline, cocoa butter, aloe vera as options to use instead of lotion.
I personally, of those three options, my favorite would be Vaseline. Um, cocoa butter, aloe vera, that's just going to be sticky or messy and not as great at building a barrier for moisture. But Vaseline is a greasy scenario. So I do think a good um, basic lotion, there's lots of brands out there, Vino, CeraVe, Cetaphil. I mean, there's a lot of baby brands out there that are kind of basic, thick moisturizer. That's what I would go for.
Okay, I'm going to mute you so I don't echo here. Okay, this one is, what temperature should bath water be? We'll start with that one. There's a few in the same comment.
Yeah, I would feel it with like the back of your hand or your wrist, and maybe just a little less warm than what you want. Another thing to do, just in general, if you have control of your water heater, when you have small kids in the house, is set it on a lower setting, like 120 degrees, I believe is the number they put out there, just so you don't accidentally have a hotter bath than you realized, or your child, when they get mobile, cause a burn in the bath.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend using bottle warmers, or this person said, for example, the Mom Cozy portable bottle warmer?
I would suspect that most of those are similar to a warm water bath. So if it's that kind of setup, that's fine. But if it's a direct contact heating, then it has a little more concern that it's not going to evenly warm the milk. So if it's like a water bath kind of warmer, that's okay.
Awesome. Oh, this is a great question. I should have had this on my list. Can we talk about pets and the germs with pets in the home and how that affects babies?
Yeah, just like you said, like you don't want people uh, kissing your baby potentially. There's specifically the herpes virus we get worried about if somebody has a history of cold sores, that could be dangerous for baby to get kissed. Um, Pets, I'm okay with them like smelling the baby. I don't love them licking. There's a lot of bacteria in mouths, human and pets, but I would just limit kisses from mom and dad. Um, and then pets, even the nicest, sweetest dog your whole life can be a threat to your baby. So never leave a pet alone with the baby. And I hear of different things, like people start using scents and laundry detergents and having things set up before baby shows up so that the pet gets familiar with the baby items and it's less alarming for the baby. But yeah, just don't trust any animal near your baby.
Yeah, yeah. This one says, do you recommend when you take the baby out of the bath using a knit cap or a towel on their head to keep them warm or prevent them from getting a cold?
Yeah, so I generally say don't use hats unless you're going outside, but that might be a time to help the baby get their temperature kind of back up, because it just is very cooling to get out of water. So a hooded towel or something to just help them warm up as they're drying off quickly, and then get them in their clothes and snuggled with you to help them get back to a regular temperature.
Mm-hmm. All right. Perfect. I am just checking to make sure I'm not missing any last questions here. Okay, I think we're good on questions. If you are watching this later tonight or maybe over the next few days, if you've been busy at work and you have a remaining question on keeping baby comfortable, safe, and germ-free, you can always leave it in the comment section and then I can send it to Dr. Zimmer to answer and get your question answered. And of course, I know we've said this all week long, but you can always call Boys Town Pediatrics directly. We've got a nurse line, we've got same-day pediatrics, and of course, our awesome pediatricians across our clinics. And no question is too small. I think we've emphasized that, but every question is calling and worth asking for that peace of mind. So we are always here.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm going to spin the wheel here. All right, so our winner today is Mari Cruz. Congratulations. We will send you a DM to claim the prize. Dr. Zimmer, thank you for joining. If people are watching and want to request a meet and greet with you, how can they do that?
you can just call our clinic. I'm at the Pacific Street location. You're welcome to meet any and all of our pediatricians just to make sure you find the right fit. But absolutely, you can schedule any time to meet with me ahead of time. It's not required before your baby's born either. If you decide after baby's born, you just come see us when you're supposed to follow up after the discharge.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we have that information linked above this video as well. You can do a virtual meet and greet or an in-person one, or just as you said, you can wait and do it later, whenever. We'd love to meet you and we'd love to have you in our Boys Town Pediatrics family. So stay tuned. Tomorrow is our last live of the week for the fall newborn week, and we're going to be going live with Dr. Sarah Orr. And this one's going to be fun. We saved a fun one for Friday. It's Newborn Mythbusters. So we're going to kind of debunk some of those myths that you might see floating around online. And it'll be a good conversation. So we look forward to having you. Thanks, Dr. Zimmer, so much for joining.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.